All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Neutral News Network. I'm Brian Armstrong alongside with Jake Dyer. And today we're going to be kind of taking a break, at least to start, from a lot of the chaos that was the 2024 election. And instead, we're going to be talking about something that's newsworthy, but not necessarily something that's quite common in the front of everybody's day to day minds when it comes to news around the world. Recently, there was a subcommittee hearing from the House Oversight Committee that occurred today on Capitol Hill that discussed what many of you know as UFOs, which have now been renamed to UAPs due to the fact they are not always flying, which I learned today. Jake will go into that a little bit later. Yeah, but we'll go ahead and get cracking with this. Just a general summary on kind of what happened. There was a committee hearing today, and the committee is chaired by Republicans. James Comer is the head of the overall committee itself. He is a Republican congressman from Kentucky. And then we have Nancy Mace. She is the head of the subcommittee, um, which is the subcommittee on cybersecurity, information technology, and government innovation. And she was the congresswoman who was running that today, and she is a Republican out of South Carolina. Um, the meeting today basically was asking three former government officials and a journalist, what their opinions and knowledge was on UAPs, UAP sightings, and interactions with the United States federal government, and so on and so forth. So basically, this was a live broadcasted hearing. If you guys want to go look it up, it's about 3 hours long. The AP News has it on their YouTube channel. And Zachary, if you want to go ahead and pull up that clip, we can play that for you all right now, and you can kind of hear an opening statement from the ranking chairman from the Democrats.
Do you believe, just for the record, that the federal government,
Looks like we
any
might
part of
need
the federal
that audio,
government, is
Zachary.
knowingly concealing evidence about UAPs from the public?
Yes, sir.
100%.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. What do you believe UAPs could be or are?
Strong evidence that they are non-human, higher intelligence.
I echo my colleague's comment, sir.
Genuinely do not know.
Don't know, but we must find out.
Do you believe
So yeah, um, that right there is pretty damning. I mean, the fact that these individuals are going in front of Congress and testifying about these findings that they have is quite fascinating in my opinion. I mean, there was a hearing on this last year that kind of really broke the shell on a lot of the UAP and UFO conversations. Um, but these individuals who were here aren't just some conspiracy theorist like whack job who decided to crawl out of the gutters and get some 15 minutes of fame. Like these are former. One is a retired admiral in the Navy. Uh, oh, I just heard some audio there. That was weird. Oh, I had the I had the subcommittee video playing in my background.
I was like, I
Apologies
did
for that.
not hear anything,
Yeah,
so
that's the voices in my head. No, but one of these individuals is a retired U.S. Navy admiral. The other one worked for the Pentagon for multiple years and was a head of a I think it was AITP, which I'd have to find the complete acronym for that. But he was the head of that committee. One was a former administrator for NASA, and then one is kind of a journalist who goes out and reports stories after he is given information from whistleblowers. But I mean, just to tell you about that individual, that would be. Have the names pulled up here. I just want to make sure I get the names right of these individuals. Um, Sorry, I'm pulling it up on my end. Um, the rear admiral's name was Tim Gaudette, and the journalist's name was Mr. Schellenberger. Um, then we had Luis Elizondo,
yeah, the
and
former
then
Defense Department official,
yep, and then we
Luis
had
Elizondo.
Yep, and then we had Dr. Michael Gold with NASA. Um, so not just your random run of the mill Jake Dyers and Brian Armstrongs coming and testifying in front of Congress. I mean, these people, um, uh, you know, know their stuff, and the fact that there was as much information given out as there was on a public forum is something that you don't see quite often. Um, a lot of times during this meeting today, they had multiple times where they said they'd have to go into a closed session in order to discuss these things, obviously, because that information is either classified or secret in nature. Um, just to give you the background, there are different classifications that you get from government information and data. Secret is information that can pose a danger to national security, and top secret is data that can pose a severe threat to United States national security. So in a lot of cases, that stuff you have to have a clearance for, and if they can't state any information about that in a public forum, so they'll have to go to a closed session of Congress and relay that information to your congressmen and women there. But they brought up during this hearing that the the process in general was kind of flawed in the fact that like there were so many times where they asked them questions, they were like, I can't answer that right now, I can't answer that right now. And you could tell that the committee members were getting frustrated because they want the answers for the American people. Both Republicans and Democrats want these answers and they want people to know, but the individuals can't tell them.
I feel like
So
yeah, I was gonna say I feel like no matter what party you're affiliated with, you want these answers. I want to know
yeah,
this stuff. This is interesting.
absolutely. And I mean just the implications that it has on the world as a
Mhm.
whole.
Yeah.
Um, just from the technological aspects to the societal aspects, just the fact that I believe at one point, the the Mr. Elizondo straight up said like the question was asked like, do you believe we're alone? And he was like, no. So it's just like, yeah, and there were multiple times that these individuals stated on the record that um, obviously they believed that there was extraterrestrial interactions, things not of this world that were encountered. Um, and I mentioned this earlier, and this was brought up during the hearing as well. But just so you know, just to give you an idea of kind of like what we could be dealing with, like in regards of technological differences here, they brought up a great example with G forces, which G forces are the amount of force that is put on a person, when they're flying aircraft, things of that nature, or even if you're on a roller coaster, it's the amount of force that's being, pressed on you from the Earth's gravity. So like, as you're rising rapidly, the Earth's gravity is
Hey,
pushing down on you, and same
hey
vice
Brian,
versa. What's up?
bef- before we go too much into detail with all the science parts
Oh
or
yeah,
pieces, if we get something wrong or like we say something incorrectly, please let us know.
yeah. Feel free to
We are
fact check
not
us.
scientists, so
Yes,
yeah, we
we're
we don't
yeah,
have all the information about the sciencey part of this.
exactly. We're doing our best to try and aggregate this information, bring it up to you guys or gals, and then allow you guys to go out and gather that information and learn about it yourselves. So, um, but yeah, so going back to that, so when you're standing on your 2 feet out in front of your front lawn, that is one G force. You are experiencing one G force at all times because that is the force that the Earth is pulling down with on you. Um, so usually humans can sustain for a short period of time up to 9 G force before you start, having blackouts, redouts. Blackouts is basically where the blood rushes down from your head. Redouts is where the blood rushes to your head. And then that usually leads to loss of consciousness. And sustained periods of that force can lead to you um, potentially losing oxygen to your brain for a sustained amount of period of time and causing death. So a lot of pilots usually top out at 9 to 10 G forces in the Air Force or the Navy, whoever's flying, in a sense. Um, and during this testimony, they mentioned that the F-16 Fighting Falcon, one of the United States Air Force's aircraft, um, usually loses structural integrity from anywhere from 16 to 17 G force. So obviously stronger than any human can pull G force wise. Now, Mr. Elizondo stated that in some of the uh, documents, the videos that he's watched himself, he states that it looks like these craft are pulling 1 to 3,000 G's of force, which is just magnitudes more than what we can perceive as being a man-made object. The technology to create a craft that can do that is just not something that we're well aware of at this time. And they're saying that these craft aren't like, marble in size or really tiny. They're about the size of a car. So they're not small. um it's
Definitely
very interesting.
not small in the fact that they can still move that fast
Yeah, absolutely. Uh,
without breaking their structural integrity, like you said.
Correct. And I think that's the biggest thing is like, you know, the amount of force that's being placed on that surface area when you're pulling those amounts of G's is just insane. I mean, you're talking like at least tens to hundreds of thousands of pounds, if not millions of pounds of force, um, which would just snap the wings off of a plane like a twig if it was flying. And I'm sure that if they're spherical in nature, I'm sure that changes the way that the physics work on it. But again, we're not physicists or scientists; we can only speculate. Um, but it's just striking when these individuals are talking about seeing these videos and viewing these. And before we get into uh, some of the underwater versions, Zachary, if you want to pull up that video that's from MSNBC, that kind of, I mean, the videos that you're about to see in this clip from MSNBC, there's some of the videos that they've seen, but they've also seen videos that are much, much higher resolution that are not declassified, that we can't see. But they've said that, these are like 1080p videos. So go ahead and roll that clip. And these videos were declassified last year during the hearing. So.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
Awesome. Yeah. So again, these images are still pretty clear, and you can see that a lot of them are taken via infrared technology and usually cockpit mounted cameras from the aircraft that they are attached to. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I would say we'll crack into. Jake's got a story on some of these UAPs, but this one is underwater in nature.
It's it's
I'll
and
let him go on this one.
it's not so much about a story, I would say. It's more of like that we are learning more about UAPs in the water and that phenomenon. We always thought, oh, they're going to be flying. It's in the air, but
Right, they're from
so
space, right?
right, yeah, they're from
Yeah.
space. But so the hearing highlighted that UAPs are often spotted near oceanic military training zones where military aircraft and naval vessels are engaged in various exercises. And it's been, according to the hearing, that they are showing the same unusual movement patterns that the flying UAPs um, were showing, such as sudden acceleration, sudden stops, and rapid changes in direction, where were frequently reported in the coastal areas. Um, some of the objects observed near the ocean have been able to dive into the water at incredible speeds, raising questions about their why they're here, what they're doing, and that was kind of something the hearing touched on is why. Look,
And I just want to interject here for a
yeah, go
quick
for it.
second. So, another thing that kind of raises just the light bulb in my head is that, you know, if these craft are disappearing into the water, right?
Hmm.
I mean, we've all probably taken a dive off a diving board with our stomach too far close to the water's surface, right? Like that's when you do that, the pressure that you, a 200 some odd pound person, jump and land flat into a surface of water like that.
Yeah,
That's like hitting concrete, you know?
yeah,
So
and
the
the
fact
fact
that
that
these
they can do
ex-
that at that great of a speed without taking any structural damage is
insane,
insane.
unexplained for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyways, continue.
Um, the hearing raised concerns about the implications of for underwater defense systems and the potential for these objects to be potentially a risk to our national security. Um, this could mean lawmakers discussed the potential threats to naval operations posed by these UAPs. They also expressed concerns about the possibility that foreign adversaries may be exploiting these advanced technologies to operate undetected in U.S. territorial waters. So
Mhm.
a UAP doesn't necessarily mean like aliens. It came from space.
Correct.
It's we don't know.
Correct.
So
Hi,
I
Morgan.
mean,
Just saw your comment. Uh, in what regards are you saying that you never thought about that? Was it in regards to the UAPs, or was it like it hitting the water, or what in specific?
and
Be
something
interested to see.
something I was thinking about too, Brian, was what so these what if they were there, they've been in the ocean the whole time. The ocean is such an unexplored
Hmm.
part of our earth
Yeah.
that what how do we know that they've been there, like submerged, dormant, whatever, like an ancient civilization? Like how do you that's just something I was thinking about. It's insane to think about now because of all
Right.
this new like information that's coming out about it.
Yeah, and I think it really is. Oh yeah, awesome. Thanks, Morgan, for clarifying. Yeah, because that was one of the things that once I thought about it, that struck me as insane was just the fact that they can hit the water at that high rate of speed and not damage their craft, and they seem to do it with ease. Um,
Yeah.
but but yeah, and I think there's always been the theory of Atlantis and all that stuff,
Right.
and
Yeah.
of
All
this
that. Yeah.
advanced technology, and it's so tough to say. I feel like yes, I I do sense that a lot of the Earth's ocean is unexplored. But we do have a pretty good map of the sea floor of the ocean, and I feel like we would have detected something like that had it have been that case. I think whatever it is, I think that it knows that we can't track it very well underwater. Sonar is
Yeah.
only so good so far. So I
Hmm.
think the more plausible, let's just say if it is aliens, right?
Right.
If it's
Yeah.
crazy hair, tinfoil hat, if it's aliens, which again, it's not such a tinfoil hat theory because these,
These.
federal officials are saying so.
Hmm.
um, but
Hey,
Yeah.
real quick,
I think it. Oh, good.
because I'm sitting here googling stuff while you guys are talking.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
26% of the seafloor has been mapped with high resolution technology. Uh,
Oh,
Only 23% of that has been mapped with like good detail. So still a
Right.
whole lot of ocean out there. We just have not a clue what's going on.
What's it? Yeah. What's in
yeah.
it or what's happened? Yeah. What's happening?
I stand corrected.
Yeah.
Stand corrected.
Yeah. But I mean, in conclusion, the the hearing provided new insights into like we've been saying about that growing body of evidence suggesting that oceanic UAPs and that the activity that they're seeing, these weird phenomenon, are I I mean they could be a concern for national security, or even like people are going to want to jump on this information and try to like get the scientific research, get that technology.
Right. And I think that that's what it kind of comes down to from the federal aspect, like, or from
Mhm.
the government's portion of it, because the oversight committee, what they were talking about was just like, you know, what they were saying is that obviously the Pentagon knows more about this than we do,
Yeah,
and we're supposed
that
and the
we
argument.
ever probably will.
Well, that's the argument from the oversight committee, is the oversight committee is saying it's our job to oversee what you're spending your money on and what you're researching, what you're learning about, what you're figuring out. And the Pentagon's like, "No, I don't think so." And they're like, "But that's our job." And the Pentagon's like, "I don't care." So,
Now, why do you think what? What? All right. So why do you think the Pentagon is saying that? Because they don't know enough to say,
um,
or do you think it's because it's will blow people's minds to an incredible level they won't be able to comprehend it?
so I think it's a little bit of both. They brought up during the hearing that they can only speculate, obviously, why the Pentagon's not, cooperating. But one of the things that they said was, ever since the Cold War in the 1980s and 60s, and that entire range of time, the United States government was very, you know, close secret, tight knit. Didn't want to give anything to the Soviets that they didn't have to, or didn't want to sneak out. Um, and
Right.
I think that they don't know for a certainty, if or they don't want to admit that they can't track whatever these are, that they can't keep them from interfering with US, you know, business, US military operations. Because that's the thing, is the retired admiral stated that the these UAPs have flown in between our military aircraft formation, posing a danger to pilots.
Yeah.
And there was also another portion of the hearing where they stated that different types of UAPs have caused different physical ailments in different people who have witnessed them up close. And so, like, I think it's a lot of nervousness, apprehension, and embarrassment that they're nervous that they don't know what it is. They're apprehensive because if it's an enemy technology, they obviously want to get it and get it fast. And I think that they're just embarrassed because they can't track it. They can't keep a hold of where these things are, or where they come from, or where they go.
Right.
So I think that that's all kind of funneling into the the Pentagon not cooperating with the federal government. But not to, you know, I do think that it is definitely a societal scare, because there are a lot of people who won't handle aliens being real that well.
Right. I mean,
It's a
it is
shell shock.
yeah, it is. I was gonna say it's
Yeah.
a shocking thing to talk about, and the fact that
Hmm.
this they're basically saying in the hearing that this research has been going on forever.
Yeah, and I mean,
Not
so
forever,
I'm gonna
but for
decades.
decades. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is from Elizondo, who, again, I know we're mentioning his name a lot, but he really did have the most groundbreaking testimony in all of this today. This is from NPR, which a lot of this will be quotes, but just want to let you know that's where I'm getting this source from. And Elizondo said, and I quote, "Let me be clear: UAPs are real. Advanced technologies not made by our government dash or any other government dash are monitoring sensitive military installations around the globe, so not just US installations. Furthermore, the United States is in possession of UAP technologies, as are some of our adversaries. Therefore, these technologies, they're they're out there already. They're in the control of multiple governments. They go around the globe. And there's been some speculation that some of these things are drones made by private contractors and things like that, and that's totally possible. It's totally possible that some of these UAPs are simply drones that are made by private companies that aren't under the jurisdiction of any one nation. Um,
Yeah,
but
just go off what you're saying.
mhm,
Um, in this article from DC News Now. former NASA Administrator Michael Gold testified, said the vast majority of the unidentified objects are likely drones or experimental aircraft.
Yep. Yeah.
But he says some of them are anomalies, and that's the anomalies are what needs to be studied.
Yep.
And one of the things you guys were talking about earlier with how would society take it if, suddenly we did find out aliens are real? Think about all the movies out there. There are very few that paint, any kind of alien attack, invasion, or whatever, in a positive way. It's almost a whole lot of destruction before we finally do something useful. So that connotation in some of the biggest movies is something that's going to stick around. And as soon as somebody says, "Oh, aliens are real," they're here, they've been here, whatever. It's where a
You
lot of
start
people's
thinking
minds
that
go
way.
to.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true.
Mhm.
And so, actually, to build off that, Zachary, I saw something from Neil deGrasse Tyson the other day, and he just brought up this as like a kind of a philosophical argument. He's just like, maybe we see aliens as hostile all the time because we see them as reflections of ourselves. All throughout human history, the person with more advanced technology conquers the person with less advanced technology, and that never goes well for the person with less advanced technology. So maybe we're just
Mm.
seeing aliens as a reflection of ourselves in these movies that we, perceive them as bad people.
Yeah.
But
Except
but
Alien vs Predator, where the predator helps the human out at the
Yeah.
end.
And
I've
think
never
about
seen
it
that movie, but
Oh.
this way too. If you're coming a long way for a planet or something, you're coming for a reason. 90% chance, like most of history, you're taking someone over because they have something you want. They're coming here. There's probably a reason, and it's probably not just to say hi. Now, that doesn't mean they're coming
Doesn't
here
mean
straight
it's
up to kill
negative.
us.
Right.
Yeah, to
Right.
take our
Right.
stuff. They may want to
Right.
just work something out. We're in full on conspiracy land now, but this is fun.
Yeah.
This is so. Hey, I'll be
Yeah,
honest with you guys, and whoever's watching. This is so much more relaxing than the election coverage, so I'm okay with it.
Oh yeah. For now, like this is a needed break from all of that.
Yeah, but anyways,
Brian,
Zachary,
Brian and I have talked ourselves to death about
it's true.
politics and the election and all that stuff.
I will say, Cole, run that calculation on a object the size of a small sedan or like a normal car, and see if you can calculate the surface area of that car and then what that force would be on that car. But go ahead and continue, Zachary, with your full-on conspiracy land discussion.
no, I mean that was
Cole's
mostly
like the
it.
perfect person to be in here.
Okay.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
they
I appreciate the physics.
they like they can come and just be like, hey, can we work something out? You got something we want. Uh, if they're here, good chance they have the technology to help us out a little bit. So it could just be a trade thing. They don't have to be mean, but that's
They could be
how they're
they
regularly
could be
painted.
studying us just as
Yeah.
much as we're
Right.
trying to study them.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Yes,
again,
it was Morgan.
it's this hearing just is a fact that they're here and that these respected people in our government are testifying to this.
Right. It's like this is a this is a testimonial where they are literally going in front of Congress. They are testifying that this information is true and accurate, and then they're going to closed door sessions of Congress afterwards and talking in more depth about secret information. Like, um, definitely fascinating stuff. I've got some more. I've got another exchange that was brought up during this hearing. So um, this is between Elizondo, again, with Representative Nancy Mace, who is the chairwoman of the subcommittee. Um, and she suggested whatever the UAPs are, the U.S. is intent on learning more about them, including efforts to recover objects that might crash. And her first statement was, and this will just be like a back and forth conversation: has the government conducted secret UAP crash retrieval programs? Yes or no? Elizondo, yes. Okay, back to Mace. Okay, were they designed to identify and reverse engineer alien craft? Yes or no? Elizondo. Yes. back to Mace. Are you read into secret UAP crash retrieval programs? Mace later asked. Basically, read into is I think if he knows more about any specific um, programs, like and what they consist of. And his response was, "We would have to have a conversation in a closed session, ma'am. I signed documentation 3 years ago that restricts my ability to specifically discuss crash retrievals." Um, and so, um, Jared Moskowitz, who is the ranking chairman, um, he made a funny joke, but it's a good joke and it makes sense. He said, "This is Moskowitz talking to Elizondo." He said, "Quote: You specifically said the document said you cannot talk about crash retrieval." Moskowitz said, and he said, "Well, you can't talk about Fight Club if there is no Fight Club." So basically, he's saying that why would they have you sign a document saying that you can't talk about this if it didn't happen,
Right.
right? They're not going to have you sign documents saying you can't talk about it if it doesn't happen. So,
Right. Yeah.
and then he said correct. Elizondo said correct.
Hi,
And
Chris.
then,
Thanks for joining.
oh, appreciate it. Hi, Chris. And then we've got here, Mace noted that in his testimony, Elizondo stated that the advanced technologies, quote, not made by our government or any other government are monitoring sensitive military installations around the globe, unquote. And this was Mace again. Quote, if these technologies are not made by any government, who's making them? Are these private companies you're implying, or is this non-human intelligence? Elizondo replied, quote, it may be both, unquote. So yeah, um, a lot of this was just pushing on more transparency from the federal government. A lot of times that's what these hearings are about. I mean, this is a bipartisan committee, so these are both Republicans and Democrats who are simply asking for more information um, to either be disclosed to them or to the general public writ large. Check your math. Uh, Cole, well, yeah, I know we're talking air resistance. I was just wondering, like, if you if you could calculate a simple surface area, and if that would be like an easy ask. If not, no worries. Um,
Yeah, like
but yeah,
the surface area of like the craft entering the
or like,
water
or just
or
like a normal
exiting.
car.
Yeah, or a car.
Like what's
Car. Okay.
like yeah, if you Googled like what's the surface area of a car, like, and then just we went with that. Let's just assume that that's correct, or at
That
least
size
close
of the
to the
craft.
number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Like a
Uh,
baseline for the size of the craft.
exactly. Um, Now, Jake, I don't know. Did you do individual research on the underwater um, UAP that they were talking about during the hearing? Because
Not the
if not, I can
exact
talk about
one.
that.
I couldn't. I tried to pull up some information, but I couldn't find it unless it's from the hearing. So I
Okay.
don't have any notes from the hearing
Yeah. So
besides what
this
we've discussed already.
so this one that they talked about during the hearing, I believe this was spoken to about by the admiral, Mr. What's his name? Gallant. Trying to
Yeah,
Gallaudet, Tim
got it.
Gallaudet.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, so if I'm remembering correctly, Mr. Gallaudet recalled an incident that occurred in the 1980s with a U.S. submarine in the North Atlantic. He stated that this occurrence happened during a storm, and the submarine officer who told him this story. So again, this is kind of a secondhand story, not as you know. Uh, reliable as the first person testimony from Mr. Elizardo. Um, but the statement that he gave was that while in the submarine, they detected a what they believed to be an object traveling about the speed of a Russian torpedo
Oh
underwater.
yeah, yeah. I
Yep,
remember talking about this earlier.
yep. So this object traveled fairly fast, larger than uh, any vessel can currently travel underwater that we are aware of, because torpedoes travel faster than any sub. That's why they're good at sinking subs. Um, and this torpedo was on a direct course towards the sub, and then it tailed off and followed in the wake of the sub um, for quite some time before eventually tailing off and disappearing. Um, very strange behavior. He stated that that doesn't make any sense. He wasn't aware of any craft that had the capability to do such things. And he also stated at some point, I don't know if this email was directly involved to the submarine issue or if this was for an aircraft incident, but he said that there was an email where he said an individual used the word stalked um, regarding a UAP and a piece of U.S. military technology, or a U.S. military asset, whether that be a sub or an airplane. But yeah, so again, very very interesting behavior, but just and it's like it's so fascinating because me personally, I want aliens to be real. I just think it'd be cool. I'm a huge science nerd, and I think
Y-
just the as long as they don't blast me into smithereens. But uh oh
Yeah.
oh yeah, I see you just pulled up that Immaculate Constellation
Yeah,
document,
yeah,
Zachary. You want to talk about that?
give that document a gander. Basically, uh, uh, Nancy, was it Nancy Mace? Yeah, she's
Yeah.
during this whole hearing, she was talking about this document, and while she's talking, someone told her that if she keeps saying Immaculate Constellation, she's going to be put on a list, and she's like, "Well, come at me, bro."
Wow.
So basically, this, from the quick glance, it's basically the use of military and intelligence resources to document UAPs. Uh, but a lot of the stuff that this program has documented was not lawfully reported to Congress. So it's 11
USG
11
imagery
pages, but
intelligence.
it's interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
USG maintains imagery intelligence databases accessible to personnel with appropriate security clearances and mission need. These databases are scattered across various organizations and services, leading to fragmented ownership structure. This dispersion complicates the timely and comprehensive gathering of IMINT related to unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs. Control over access to these datasets primarily reside with the military intelligence enterprise, the combatant commands, and the armed services, and individual program managers. Those are
So
something that stood out to me.
I also just want to just state, and this is a joke, but I'm not suicidal, um, so just saying, if I get put on a list.
I mean, this is all
I'm,
public information.
well, uh, it is now. Yeah, it is now. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
right. It is
Hey, look,
now.
she's the
Yeah.
one that posted this document on her like government website. So
Yeah, Mace.
if anyone's on the list, this is a her problem. We're just here.
Yeah, we're just
Yeah.
seeing what she put on here. Yeah,
Yeah. Um.
this is a
Yeah.
crazy document.
Is this crazy? Because examples of defense HMT
We should.
close encounter. So I know I'll pick one here to read off.
Mhm.
Just because for all intents and purposes, for those who are in the audience listening, the F-22 is widely known as the United States' most advanced uh fighter that we have. We have the F-35 and the F-22. F-35 is more of an all-purpose fighter. The F-22 is our air superiority, air dominance fighter. And right now, this story or this report that's in this document that Zachary shared with us, and we can, I'll we can potentially
I put the link in the chat.
put the link in the chat. Perfect. Great. Now we really are on a list. We're gonna get a cease and desist from the feds.
Hey, not bad for the
At least
second
it'll
stream in, am I
it might
right?
get us views, Brian.
Freedom of the press. Freedom of the press. um, okay, so I'll go ahead and read this off to y'all. This is the start of it. Metallic orbs intercept F-22 on CONUS air surveillance and control mission. Um, While performing a routine airspace surveillance and control mission in the Eastern Air Defense Sector, an F-22 fighter observed multiple UAP contacts at mission altitude. Moving to intercept, the F-22 pilot noticed multiple metallic orbs, slightly smaller than a sedan, hovering in place, and upon vectoring towards the UAPs, a smaller formation of the metallic orbs accelerated at rapid speed towards the F-22, which was unable to establish radar locks on the presumed hostile UAPs. The F-22 broke trajectory and attempted to evade, but was intercepted and boxed in by approximately 3 to 6 UAPs. One UAP maneuvered in proximity, approximately less than 12 meters to the area directly starboard of the cockpit. Here, the UAP established a rigid spatial relationship with the F-22, maintaining its exact position and orientation parallel with the F-22's cockpit despite multiple evasive rolls and maneuvers. Surrounded by the presumed hostile UAPs, the F-22 was forced out of the mission area under the escort of the UAP formation.
That's wild.
I mean, I got cold chills reading
That's
that
crazy.
because keep in mind, again, I want to state that the F-22 is arguably, if not our most advanced fighter. It is the most advanced fighter on the planet as far as every world government is concerned. And these 3 to 6 little spheres, whatever they were, just surrounded it and basically
No,
told it
no
politely
issue.
to leave.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with
yeah,
no
and
issue.
told it politely to leave. Um, and 12 meters is 36 feet. And just to give you an idea on how small of a distance that is, wingspan of F-22. The wingspan of an F-22 is 44 feet. That means, I mean, if this object was as wide as an F-22, or sorry, if this object was right to within 36 feet of this F-22, right? You're figuring, I mean, it's almost wingtip to wingtip. I mean, it's almost touching it from a flight perspective. I mean, being within 36 feet of something, that's like like you guys ever seen the videos of the Blue Angels flying together? That's how close this object was to this pilot. Keep in mind, this is
And it's not like it's trained with the Blue Angels. It didn't train
right,
with this pilot.
right. And this pilot is making erratic and evasive maneuvers to try and get away from this thing. And it's like, hey, bud, how you doing? Can I come join you? What are you
Mhm.
doing over there? Like, hey. But yeah, it's just fascinating. And again, like this is just one of these.
And the
That
fact
I,
that
I
and the fact that I just am blown away that these officers, and I'm just gonna keep saying this the whole show, but these like officers, these highly respected people are saying this stuff.
correct.
This is
These
not
are
just
not
Joe Schmo on the street that saw a plane or a UFO or UAP.
right. Right. Also, I noticed our viewers went down, so we're definitely getting flagged by the feds. They're
Oh yeah.
throttling this hard. It's game over. Oh, down to 3 now. It's Joe over.
Oh, back to 4.
Oh yay. But yeah, so um just just absolutely banana stuff. I'm actually gonna take time after we're done here
Probably
and
read
read about
more.
this.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm gonna do. I'm probably gonna read this whole document.
Yeah. Oh, same. I'm trying to see there's more here. Yeah, so they're on the
Do you want
oh
to
hey.
do? Oh, sorry. Go
Oh
ahead.
good.
No, you're good, Brian. Go ahead.
I was gonna say on that NPR story that I was reading off of earlier, they actually talk about Immaculate Constellation. And also they talk about that F-22 story. Literally the one that I picked out. They talk about that in the NPR.
Oh, do they
Um
really? That's cool.
yeah. Let's see. Schellenberger's public news site. The government is operating an active and highly secretive, unacknowledged special access program. Now, okay, I wanna take a step back from the UFO stuff here. Okay,
Hmm.
so this is for whoever's still watching. the federal government, and especially the Department of Defense and a lot of the U.S. are like the U.S. military apparatus. Let's just put it that way. Um, they operate many um, programs, some that we know of, some that we don't know of. Like right now, we know that the SR-71 was the former, the Blackbird. That was the plane that we used during the Cold War to help with advanced surveillance. Same thing with the U-2, things of that nature. We know for a fact that the SR-72 is actively in development right now. We don't know what the stages of development that it's in. We don't know what it looks like. We don't know all of these things, but we know that it exists. We know that it's real, right? Now, if you remember when the United States completed the operation to kill Osama bin Laden,
Mm,
we
I see where you're
conveniently
going.
lost a helicopter during that operation. Um, and pictures of that helicopter were captured after it was downed, and the federal government to this day says that that helicopter does not exist, even though there is photographic evidence of that helicopter being shot down because it is part of a secret program that doesn't exist, but it does exist, and the helicopter does exist. So there are programs out there, and obviously, I mean, I'm sure that comes to no surprise to many people. There are secret programs out there that the federal government just doesn't tell anybody about. It's just this one goes a little bit farther than a secret special issue helicopter, right? This is some crazy shit. So, but I just wanted to bring that out there is that there are programs that we don't know of, and we might not
Mm.
ever know of, until decades down the line. I'm sure that there's probably documents and stuff
And that and
from
that and that just brings me back to my question of
why.
how much, well, why, but how
Yeah.
much do these programs actually know about this stuff?
Hmm.
Do they
Yeah.
know do they know everything and they're just not just keeping it from us, or do
Hmm.
they not know anything and that's why they don't let us even get a taste?
Hmm. Yeah. There you go, Cole. Yeah, the 72 Dark Star. Yep. Yeah. That was the thing is that's actually rumored that that model that they used in Top Gun is going to look very similar to what the actual SR-72 is going to look like.
If
There's
I
a rumor,
recall,
obviously,
yeah,
but
China really thought it
yeah,
was real.
correct, they did, which is incredible. Yeah, they were getting
Yeah.
pictures and shit of it. I love it. Uh, but and I know we've gone almost an hour on this, and I know Jake, you're getting ready to probably head off around 9. Um,
Yeah. I mean, if we're gonna keep going, I'll just keep going for a little bit after 9.
but yeah, I mean, we can keep
I,
talking about this. I
I
know we talked about the election coverage, and we can, if anybody in the chat brings up that they want to talk about the election, we can absolutely do that for a little bit. But I know we've had we've had some fun for once in the past week. So
yeah, it was nice to take a little break and
yeah, because believe it
talk
or
about
not,
something
yeah, Zachary,
newsworthy.
Jake, and
But
I we all talk about politics behind the scenes. So I'm sure that we don't typically talk about aliens behind the scenes, but now we might have to start.
yeah, yeah, I mean, it's just this is not the last we're gonna hear of information, I'm sure,
Right.
coming out about it.
And I know, this also goes to our audience here. If there's something that you guys want us to cover, it might not be like, flashing in the headlines right now, but if there's like a certain news topic that you want us to talk about, feel free to bring that up, and I'm sure we can gather some content and talk about that. Whether it's more secret slash not secret, military stuff. I mean, there's a lot of information out there that people don't know that is publicly available, but still is not very um, well-known
Yeah,
stuff.
Cole, I was actually reading about Grush's stuff. Is that how you say it? Grush?
Yeah, I think it was Groish
Grush?
or something like
Grush?
that. Grush.
Grush?
Yeah.
Okay. I was looking at his stuff from last year. It is crazy, and then it come around this year, and then you hear more stuff. It's insane. Very interesting. I'm curious to what else we're gonna find out.
Yeah. And I mean, we've seen a lot of stuff coming out over the past year, and again, this was bipartisan committee that was pretty critical on the current Biden administration in regards to their secrecy and not wanting to divulge a lot of information on this. Um, Trump has come out and said that he's going to try and relax some of the restrictions on these efforts, which, I welcome that.
Mhm.
Honestly, I think that as long as it doesn't adversely affect U.S. national security, why not? Um, I mean, the thing is that, if these really are, uh, you know, otherworldly beings or machinery, um, I think that the world, not necessarily just the United States, but the world has a right to know. Because if it turns out that we're not alone in this universe, which I don't think we are, regardless of what these ends up being. I mean, the universe is way too vast for us to be the only people out here. That's my belief. But um,
I share that
y-
belief. Yeah, but
yeah,
I mean, we're not here to get you on that side. We're here to
yeah, just
just
call
give
it
you
a
information. Yeah,
yeah, and make sure you guys know where to go look it up yourselves.
exactly.
Um, but oh shoot, I was gonna bring up something that was important to this. Oh yeah. So they did ask and I did think this was interesting too because it wasn't a definitive answer. But the question was to Mr. Elizondo again. It's just like I believe it was along the lines of, you know, have we communicated with
Mm.
these um, entities? And he said it's complicated. Um,
What do you think that
so
means?
he went into detail. He went into detail. He said
Oh, okay.
um, there was no audible converse, like no like
That's
voice, no language communications, anything like that. But
mm,
I think he was regarding that F-22 incident. He said they made their intentions very clear to
okay.
us in our
I
perceptions.
see what you're saying.
He,
Okay.
so he's like saying whoever was controlling these, or if there was something that was controlling them, he said whatever was controlling them made their intentions clear that they wanted us to leave. Because as it said in that report, they basically escorted that F-22 out of that operational zone. So uh, basically no language communication, but definitely like action communication. Like he basically said that there's been plenty of times where these entities have communicated quite clearly what they want us to do, and that is most times to leave. But um, Morgan, yeah, we'll see. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt until we're proven otherwise, I guess. um, let's see.
Do you want to? Are we next week? Are we covering? You want to go into that a little bit? What we plan on covering next week, or
Well,
about?
go ahead and let me know what you plan on covering. And
I okay. I'm kind of thinking about like what we discussed earlier, but dispelling some of um the things about what's going on with the election and
mhm. Yeah, so I know we will try and get into a little bit more of actual post-election coverage
hmm
next week. Um, after we get some more of Donald Trump's cabinet picks, which again, just before anybody gets too excited or panics about Trump's cabinet picks, they still have to be confirmed through the Senate. And I guess actually one of the things that we can we can cover that was real quick was that Senator Tom, I don't know if it's Thume or Tume, um, from I think it was Tom. Was it John Toon, sorry, John Toon. John Toon was selected to replace Mitch McConnell as Senate Majority Leader. He's been the Republicans' whip, which is basically second in command, uh, for quite some time now, and he was kind of the front runner to replace Mitch McConnell. And honestly, out of the group of individuals who could have replaced McConnell, he was probably one of the most moderate to neutral picks. Um, the others were John Corn and Rick Scott of Florida. John Corn, I believe, is from Texas. Um, Kuhn is 63 years old. this information I'm pulling from PBS, by the way. Um, he's 63. He's in his fourth Senate term, and he has promised to work closely with Trump, despite the differences that the two have had in recent years. Um, but there have been instances where they have separated on policy and have separated on their overall vision for kind of what they want to happen on different things. So it might not be a complete and total rubber stamp, but I would imagine that they would side on most things pretty consistently. Outside of that, looks like Scott was eliminated in the first round, which led to it being between John Cornyn and John Thune, and it was a 29 to 24 vote to elect Mr. Toon. Yeah, so this is the first time they've had a regime change since 2007. So it's been almost 2 decades that Mitch McConnell was Republican Senate Majority Leader. And also, as of right now, it looks like Republicans are going to have a 53-47 majority in the Senate. I believe I did see something also that I know I'm going into post-election coverage, Jake, a little bit
No,
here.
no, it's okay. My thought is just give them a little taste
Yeah,
for next time.
yep. And then it looks like there was and I did see this somewhere. I'd have to go up and pull. Let me see if I can find a source on this real quick. Senate recount. So Pennsylvania Senate contest headed towards a recount and possibly litigation. So that'll be interesting. That's from the AP News 3 hours ago. I did see that come across one of my headlines earlier. So that doesn't have crazy implications, mostly because the Republicans already have the majority in the Senate. But however, a 52 48 majority is much, much less than a 53 to 47, only because Lisa Murkowski and there's another moderate Republican in the Senate. I can't remember her name. Susan Collins. Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. Not often, but sometimes will caucus with the Democrats, which would lead to a 50-50 tie, which would still be broken by J.D. Vance as the tie-breaking vote in the Senate. But there's nothing to say that another senator couldn't potentially be swayed to vote for or against the Democrats. Just something to keep in mind. So, and most likely, this outcome won't be overturned. McCormick, who was running against Bob Casey, McCormick is the Republican, Bob Casey is the Democrat. McCormick leads by about 28,000 votes, but it is within inside the 0.5% margin that triggers an automatic recount under Pennsylvania law. And yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at in regards to that. Most officials say that it won't change the outcome by just a couple hundred votes. So in reality, it will likely still say a 53-47 Senate, but interesting news nonetheless. Yeah. Any closing thoughts, Jake?
Um, my closing thoughts. I'd like to cover. I'm interested in a lot of the criminal justice, our criminal justice system. So if you as a viewer want me to cover anything criminal justice system related, let me know. I'm very interested to see what news is out there and what's going to come out with the as things progress with the election or the post elections.
Yep, absolutely. And my closing thoughts on that same vein, I kind of want to, and I know Jake wants to do this as well, but I kind of really start digging into news articles that go into how a lot of how our government works. And I mean, I know we
Yes.
kind of went over that today with these committees and these subcommittees, but there's a lot of things that go on out there that there's a lot of misinformation from both sides that really try and work uh, in information to say like, oh wow, this is this way because it does this is this way because it does this and this. When in reality, it's either a lot more simple or a lot more complex than what it's actually turning out to be like. So Jake and I, we want to go and try and squash some of those
We want
misconceptions.
yeah, we want to help not only ourselves but you as viewers wade through the news
Mhm.
and learn.
Yeah, and that's the thing is an informed electorate, an informed population, is what this country deserves. And I think that's our mission here, is to not only give you the news as it comes in and try and give you as unbiased of a position on it as possible, but also to inform you and make sure that you learn something, you kind of imbue that desire to go learn more about it
For
yourself as
yourself.
time
Yeah.
goes on. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
If we're only doing this stream once or twice a week for an hour at a time, that leaves you know quite a lot of time in between for y'all to go up and pull up some of the stuff that we brought up and do some research on that yourself, and really just to educate yourself, because that's what we really want to do and we
Just
want people to
just
focus on.
get people thinking.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Zachary, any closing thoughts for you, or you want to go ahead and wrap her up?
I do. Completely unrelated to literally anything we have talked about this evening. Me being the weather guy that I am, for the folks out there at home, uh, we
Oh,
have
Oh shoot,
potential
we got a
tropical
thing.
cyclone 19 that developed earlier this afternoon. Right now, it does look like it will make an impact on Florida later, probably sometime next week. Uh, Too early to tell where or how strong, given the more westward track it appears to be taking. We'll likely see a little bit weaker of a storm since it's not going to have as much time over water, which overall is good news. But that, along with a major pattern flip that's coming next week as well, especially to the Great Lakes area here, we'll likely see our coldest weather of the year and potentially some snow flurries for most of the state and some maybe more significant lake effect snow for the snow belt regions or the areas that typically see your lake effect snow. So, you know, winter is coming, unfortunately.
it's Christmas. Oh,
It's
Not
only
even
allowed to snow
Thanksgiving
on
yet.
Christmas, personally.
yeah, that's true. It's good. Yeah, we're gonna have 2 feet of snow on Thanksgiving. You heard it here first on Neutral News Network. I'm kidding.
Nope, that's all I had. That's it.
I'm gonna call you when we get a bunch of snow and on Thanksgiving, and I'm like, Brian, you were right.
No, no,
All
no.
right.
Zachary was
Zachary
right.
was right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think with that, that concludes this week's episode on Neutral News Network. Like I said, we might end up recording some more as time goes on and doing a little bit more frequency as we get this all nailed down and figure out kind of what the heck we're doing here. But outside of
Share.
that, yeah, yeah, feel free to share
Share
this. Please
the
like
link.
it, and yeah, subscribe, share, like it. Turn on that bell notification so that you know when we go live. We're gonna try and focus on doing lives on Wednesday at usually 8-ish p.m. Eastern time. That's kind of our goal right now, is to make this fairly consistent. But yeah, please like, please share, and please get the word out that we are doing this. We greatly appreciate it, and we want you to have a wonderful night, a safe rest of the week, and hopefully we will see you same time, same place next week. Thanks so much, Morgan, and everybody.